Gεια σας, and welcome to Greek News Global. I'm John Mangos. In this bulletin, Greece pays tribute to Marinella, an icon of Greek culture. Greek Easter to be strictly limited to religious sites. Artemis launches to the moon, and we dedicate this bulletin to Marinella, the queen and mother of modern Greek music. Greece is in mourning with the passing of legendary singer Marinella at the age of 87. The iconic voice of a generation died peacefully at home a year and a half after collapsing on stage during a performance at the Odeon of Herodes Atticus in 2024. Born Kyriaki Papadopoulou in Thessaloniki, Marinella rose from humble beginnings to become one of Greece's most beloved performers, with a career spanning more than 7 decades. She was married to Stelios Kazantzidis in the 1960s and performed works by the great composers of Greece, including Theodorakis, Hatzidakis, Xaharkos and others. From sold-out concerts to the closing ceremony of the 2004 Summer Olympics, her powerful voice became a symbol of Hellenism worldwide. Her funeral stopped the nation. Prime Minister Mitsotakis taking a front row seat as Haris Alexiou broke down when delivering a heartfelt eulogy paying tribute to the Queen and mother of modern Greek music.
Marinella μου, καπετάνισσα. Αυτή η φωνή από ποια κρυστάλλινη πηγή γεννήθηκε. Σήμερα κάνω κάτι που δεν είχα ποτέ φανταστεί πως θα κάνω. Στην πρώτη μου ακρόαση πέρασα με δικό σου τραγούδι. Και τώρα καλέστηκα από το παιδί σου να μιλήσω για τις χάρες σου εδώ μπροστά σου και μπροστά σε τόσους αγαπημένους σου που έχετε ζήσει και έχετε μοιραστεί πολλά περισσότερα. Ήσουνα δώρο μεγάλης αξίας. Μας πλούτησες με πολύτιμες αναμνήσεις, κυρά μου. Το καταλαβαίνεις.
Yorgos Talaras also paid an emotional tribute, referring to her unique place in the Greek music landscape. He also called her a second mother.
Μαρινέλα, εσύ δεν πέθανες προχθές. Έφυγες. Πέταξες πάνω στη σκηνή του Ηρωδείου τον περασμένο Σεπτέμβρη σαν αρχαία τραγωδός, σαν την Εκάβη, όπως σε βάφτισε ο Νίνος Βολανάκης πριν από χρόνια. Προχθές όμως, Μαρινέλα, για μένα πέθανε η δεύτερη μάνα μου, αυτή που με πήρε παιδί σχεδόν από το χέρι και με βοήθησε να σταθώ στα πόδια μου. Καλό ταξίδι, μάνα, και καλή τύχη όπου κι αν πας.
A new chapter in space exploration is underway with the successful launch of NASA's Artemis mission to return humanity to the moon. Artemis 2 launched from Cape Canaveral's Kennedy Space Center as the most powerful rocket ever built, carrying a crew of 4 astronauts. Named after Artemis, the twin sister of Apollo and the goddess of the moon in Greek mythology, the mission continues a long tradition of Greek-inspired space exploration, following the Apollo missions of the 1960s and 70s. The modern program also carries that legacy forward with its Orion capsule, named after the mythological hunter. NASA says Artemis represents a bold return to the lunar surface, aiming to land astronauts at the moon's south pole, an area never before explored by humans, ushering in a new era of science, technology and discovery. And Greece has taken a major step into the space age by successfully launching its first domestically built satellites. 3 Greek-made nano-satellites, known as Artemis, blasted off aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, marking an historic first for the country. Developed by the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, the CubeSats are now orbiting 500 kilometres above Earth, testing advanced Greek technologies in real space conditions. Backed by nearly €5 million in funding and supported by the European Space Agency, the mission brings together universities, researchers and private industry. The Artemis program is expected to pave the way for Greece's national microsatellite ambitions, with future applications in agriculture, communications and smart infrastructure. Greece now joins a select group of nations capable of building and launching their own satellites. The presence of the faithful will be restricted at this year's Holy Fire ceremony at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre on Holy Saturday. Israeli authorities have maintained the strict security measures they have previously outlined in the Old City of Jerusalem due to the ongoing regional tensions. This extends to all Holy Week services, which will be conducted exclusively without the participation of the faithful and with only the clergy present. Israeli police have introduced detailed restrictions about access for worshippers and the clergy. They have limited the number of Orthodox clergy allowed in the church to 15, and representatives of other Christian denominations will also be present to participate in the ceremony. Greece is currently communicating with relevant authorities to ensure a Greek delegation can participate in the service and will follow the strict protocol. Their discussions involve the number of representatives who will be permitted to attend. International reactions to the restrictions include Germany's foreign ministry, who has reportedly expressed concern that such measures could further heighten tensions. Due to the complex security reality of the situation, ceremonies including the Holy Fire will be held in a symbolic and limited format. A cargo of US WTI Midland crude oil is heading to Greece's motor oil refinery in Corinth for the first time in 4 years. This comes as the Middle East conflict continues to disrupt traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, affecting regional supply and trade flows. The Isle of Man flagged tanker, the Eagle Helsinki, loaded about 700,000 barrels of WTI Midland, the flagship US light sweet crude, at the Seabrook Logistics Terminal in Houston. The Corinth refinery is Greece's second largest and accounts for more than a third of the country's refining capacity. Greece, Cyprus and the European Union's top diplomats are among the 10 foreign ministers of European countries to sign a joint statement emphasising full support and solidarity with Lebanon. They issued a statement which condemned Hezbollah's attacks and said the priority is to avoid a further spread of the conflict with Iran. In a joint statement, the ministers said they call upon the entire international community to participate in a humanitarian effort to ensure dignified living conditions for the many victims of the conflict. The ministers clarified their support of the Lebanese armed forces and Lebanese security forces, and urged Lebanon to implement the IMF-aligned financial and economic reforms so its security forces can ultimately serve as the sole guarantor of national sovereignty. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese joined celebrations for Greek Independence Day, recognising the deep historical and cultural ties between Australia and the Greek community. Speaking at the occasion in Sydney's Hyde Park before an audience of Greek schools and community organisations, Albanese paid tribute to the enduring legacy of the Greek War of Independence and the values of freedom and democracy it represents, as well as the significant contribution Greek Australians have made to the nation's multicultural identity.
Thanks in no small part to the immigrants who arrived in the post-war years, Australia has what is proudly one of the biggest Greek diasporas in the world, and little Greece is right in Marrickville, my home. I will always be proud of growing up with my fellow Greek friends. And I'm proud to be Prime Minister of a country that has a heart which has long had, in part, a Hellenic beat to it. Australia without Greeks is beyond imagining. You are cherished, you are celebrated, and well and truly cemented into how we see ourselves as a country.
Australia has tightened biosecurity controls on a wide range of products from Greece after foot and mouth disease was detected on the island of Lesbos. The measure is already impacting import and export activities linked to Greece's livestock sector. The Australian Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry issued a notice to importers who have imported or plan to import products containing or derived from species susceptible to foot and mouth disease in Australia from Greece from the 15th of February this year. These species include cattle, sheep, pigs, deer and camelids. The decision followed Greece's notification to the World Organization of Animal Health after authorities identified an outbreak at a cattle farm in the Pelopi area of northeastern Lesbos. After completing a risk assessment, Australian authorities determined Greece should no longer be considered free from foot and mouth disease. As a result, Australia has removed Greece from its list of countries recognised as free from foot and mouth disease. The decision widens the impact well beyond live animal trade. It now affects food imports, veterinary products, laboratory materials and agricultural supply chains that rely on animal-derived ingredients from Greece. Although the outbreak remains limited to Lesbos, the implications are no longer local. Australia's decision shows how a single outbreak can quickly alter the trading status of an entire country, especially when it involves a highly contagious livestock disease such as foot and mouth. Greek Australian success is once again in the spotlight, with Sydney-based founders of White Fox Boutique, Georgia and Daniel Kontos, making their debut on Australia's richest 250 list with an estimated fortune of around $1.4 billion. Their achievement adds to a proud tradition, with at least 13 Greek Australians featured in this year's rankings, a powerful reflection of the community's enduring contribution to the nation's economy. Among them are well-known figures such as Nick Politis in the automotive industry and Dennis Bastas, who ranks as the highest-placed Greek Australian this year. From established sectors like property and manufacturing to emerging global brands, Greek Australians continue to lead across generations. For a community built on migration, hard work and resilience, the latest Rich List is more than a measure of wealth. It's a celebration of identity, ambition and the ongoing legacy of Hellenism in Australia. A Greek court has sentenced 3 police officers and dozens of other defendants to prison terms of up to 9 years for involvement in illegal excavations, tobacco smuggling and fraudulent passport visa certifications in Kilkis. Authorities uncovered the case in 2020 through the Internal Affairs Division of the Hellenic Police. Prosecutors charged more than 120 individuals, including 5 police officers and numerous private citizens, with participating in a network linked to antiquities trafficking, smuggling and corruption offences. After a trial lasting more than 30 hearings, the 3-member Court of Appeal for Felonies in Thessaloniki found 54 defendants guilty. The court acquitted some defendants, while others were cleared after paying outstanding duties and fees. Sentences range from 2 years imprisonment to 9 years incarceration. The court convicted the defendants of illegal excavation within archaeological sites, using metal detectors without authorisation, failing to declare antiquities, bribery, issuing false certificates, facilitating the illegal stay of foreign nationals, smuggling and participation in a criminal organisation. Among those convicted was a retired Hellenic police officer who participated in illegal excavation activities. The court sentenced him to 8.5 years in prison. The court also imposed sentences of 8 and 9 years on 2 additional police officers found guilty of involvement in false certification of foreign nationals' movement to and from Greece through the Evzons customs checkpoint. Annual inflation in the euro area is expected to stand at 2.5% in March, up from 1.9% in February, according to preliminary estimates from Eurostat. But in Greece, inflation is estimated to rise to 3.3% in March, up from 3.1% in February. Looking at the main components of inflation in the euro area, energy is expected to record the highest annual rate in March of 4.9%, followed by services with 3.2%, then food, alcohol and tobacco at 2.4%. In the same month, the lowest inflation rates were recorded in Cyprus and Italy on 1.5%. And to sporting news now, and Greece was held to a 0-0 draw against Hungary in Budapest as the national team continues preparations for the upcoming UEFA Nations League campaign. The result marks the Greek side's third consecutive match without a goal, raising concerns about attacking efficiency despite a solid defensive performance. The match followed a recent defeat to Paraguay, prompting several changes to the starting lineup. The national team is expected to play 2 more friendly matches in early June, one abroad and one in Crete, as part of its preparations for the Nations League later this year. Despite the lack of goals, the defensive improvements offer some encouragement as Greece looks to regain balance ahead of the competitive campaign. And as Greek News Global reported last week, Konstantinos Karetsas continues to emerge as one of the most promising young talents in European football. The Genk midfielder has attracted strong interest from top clubs across Europe, and reports from Spain suggest Real Madrid is preparing to make a decisive move for the highly rated youngster. According to Spanish outlet Fichajes, the La Liga giants are now willing to offer up to €50 million to secure Karetsas' signature. The report notes Real Madrid has been closely monitoring his development in Belgium for some time. His consistent performances with Genk, combined with his maturity on the pitch and technical ability, have elevated his profile in recent months. While no official offer has yet been submitted, Karetsas is understood to be firmly on Real Madrid's radar ahead of the upcoming transfer window. If the move materialises, it would represent a major step in the young midfielder's career and could mark one of the most significant transfers involving a Greek footballer in recent years. And Greek-Australian cricketer Sam Constas has lost his full-time Cricket Australia contract. Just over 15 months after causing a sensation on debut in the Boxing Day Test against India, the 20-year-old was among 5 Australians axed from the national contract list, a group that does not include the retired Usman Khawaja. Australian selectors had hoped Constas, who debuted with distinction as an opening partner to Khawaja at the MCG in December 2025, would consolidate his spot, but he has fallen from favour after a disappointing tour of the West Indies. And that's it for this edition of Greek News Global, recorded on the 2nd of April 2026. Marinella mas, καλό παράδεισο. I'm John Mangos. Γεια σας και να είστε καλά.
Αγόρι μου, στολίδι μου, σαν